I think at every World Cup and at most world sporting events, there's people stay wherever they can find it. This place is about the size of Connecticut, and half of it is desert sand. They had to get really creative here. I mean, I think the estimate I've seen of people coming in is 1.3 million. Okay, so they don't have enough hotels to keep that many people in. They're still building stuff now, and we are, this is my 15th day on the ground here. And so it was easy to kind of notice that there was a lot of weird places that people were staying. You're talking about shipping containers inside of fan zones. You're talking about tent villages where people, essentially glamp. I've seen apartment complexes that went up specifically for fans that house 50,000 people. And there's 3 huge cruise ships that are from Geneva that are docked in the harbor, and people are staying there. I've tried to get into every single one of these places. I even went to the fan zone where the shipping containers are 4 times. They're all heavily guarded. You need a ticket to the match to get in, and it can't be a media ticket. Basically, I thought that I was never going to get to see one of these things. And then I met a person named Ed Ball, who is from Seattle and an aerospace salesman, and he had created a map where people can find beer in Qatar. And he connected me with people who have stayed in all of these things. So yesterday I went over to the Red Lion in Doha. There was a really cool bar there. It was basically like a real pub. It had, flags all over the wall. The soccer was on. Felt like being in England or something, And I met with a group of U.S. fans, and they just laid out their experiences. We wanted to really try a bunch of different things. They stayed in a hotel for a couple nights. Their initial reservation was at, I think, the Element in Doha. The Element was not functional and able to open by the time that they were flying, and they found out on their flight that they'd been moved to a different hotel. The laundry machine didn't work. They stayed in a shipping container in the fan zone. Other than the bed being real hard, it seemed like they really liked their stay there. They said each shipping container had its own air conditioning unit, and so they said it was freezing in there, and they had turn the air conditioning off for a while to let it warm up. And then they stayed in a cruise ship, and this cruise ship has the largest water slide in the world. And I think that fans here have just sort of started to embrace the uniqueness and the oddity of these things. Now, I have heard of other stories that are not as positive as theirs were. They had texted me actually right after we met up. There were 2 other people at this bar with them, and they were trying to check into their own shipping container. They got a key to a room, went there, and somebody was inside of it. They went to a second room with a second key, and that key didn't work. They got a third key and went to a third room, and somebody was inside of that. And so the way that they got into room 2 after all of that was somebody climbed up the second story, broke in, and then opened the front door. It hasn't quite been a Fry Festival situation, but, I think it's somewhere in the middle between that and, functional housing. I can understand why people are frustrated. And I guess when you put all that together, it's not dissimilar to the country itself. They're trying, maybe this wasn't the best idea to begin with. There are moments of beauty and chance and real human connection. And then there are moments of logistical terror too. So like everything else, I think it kind of ties back to the same thing. It's definitely a unique experience, and much more so for people who are living on a shipping container.